All right, this is 5/8, and you can do this warm up on your own, get the y by itself, and then graph it. We're still doing slope-intercept form, but this time we're going to be given different pieces of information. That's what this is all about, right? So first of all, like, I gave you the slope and I gave you the y-intercept, and you just had to write the equation, or I gave you the graph and you found those things. Now we're going to be given different pieces of information, but we have to get to the same end point. And that's what this chapter is kind of all about, is getting to the same end point, but you have to be able to get there from all directions no matter what's given to you. So today, you're going to be given a point that's not necessarily your y-intercept and your slope. Or you're just given 2 points, which you know how to find your slope given 2 points, and then you just go from there. So it's a little bit more work depending on what you're given, but we can get to the y equals mx plus b by the time we're done. So if you have your slope, then you plug it in. So again, you're going to get sick of this. Y equals mx plus b. You need a number for m, and you need a number for b. That's the end goal. Okay, so if they give you m, then you're halfway there. So you plug the number in for m. But they're not going to hand you b. So then you know m, and then you also know a random point that isn't b. So you plug them in for x and y, because points give you x and y. That leaves b as the only letter that you don't know, so then you can solve for it. If you have an equation with just one unknown variable, you can solve for it. Then when you're done, you plug it back in, putting just the number for m and the number for b into your general equation to make it more useful to us, just like we did earlier when we talked about constant of variation equations. Okay? Okay. Y equals mx plus b. When we are done, we need a number for m and a number for b. Whoa. Don't like this. Number for m and a number for b when we're done. Okay, that's not necessarily what they're going to give us right now. So it passes through, okay, has a slope of 2. Slope, there's your m right now, so m is 2. And passes through the point 1, 5. That's not your y-intercept because there has an x coordinate other than 0. So all this gives you right now is x and y. So here's your m and your x and your y. Okay? So then you plug them in. So you plug what you know. Do we have something labeled y? Yep, we have a 5. So 5 equals. Do I have something labeled m? Yep, 2. Do I have something labeled x? Yes, 1. Plus, do I have anything labeled b? No. So I plugged in what I knew. I had an x, a y, and an m. Now I'm just solving for b. 2 times 1 is 2. I have to subtract it over. 5 minus 2 is 3. So here's b. I have an m. They gave it to me. And I have a b. I found it. So now I can write my equation with a number for m and a number for b, which needs to be my end goal. So y equals, my m was 2, x plus my b was 3. That's your final answer. That's it. Label as you go. We need, when we're done, y equals mx plus b. When we're done, we need an m and a b. Go through what they give you. The slope of 1/2, slope is your m, and a point to -3, that's an x and a y. Plug in what you know. Do we have something labeled y? Yes, -3. Equals, do I have an m? 1/2. Do I have an x? 2. Plus, do I have a b? No. So I took y equals mx plus b and plugged in the things that I knew, and now I only have a b that I don't know, so now I can solve for it. 1/2 times 2 is 1. Subtract it over, -3 minus 1 is -4. So there's our b. Now I have an m, and I have a b, which is what I need. So I can write my final equation y equals 1/2 x minus 4 because my b was negative. And then I'm done. Do this one on your own. So you have an m and an x and a y, okay? And then you can go ahead and finish that one on your own. If we do not have the slope, but we have 2 points, then we have to find the slope first. We know how to do that. You have to do the y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, okay? Once you do that, then you're in the same place we just were in those previous examples. So you can plug in your m and then your x and a y from either point. It doesn't matter which point you use. As long as you have some point on the line, you can use it in your equation. Okay, so it says find the equation of the line containing the points, these points. So when I'm done, I need y equals mx plus b with a number for m and a number for b, okay? Currently, I don't have either of those things. So I have to label my points. If you're given 2 points, then you label them x1, y1, x2, y2. We have to start by finding our slope, which is the y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I'm going to do -4 minus -1 on top and 6 minus -3 on the bottom. Okay? -4 minus a -1 is -3. 6 minus -3 is 9. And then -3 over 9 reduces to -1/3. So there's your m. So you're halfway there because you need a number for m and a number for b. At this point, we are at the same place that we were in those previous examples. The only difference is that you have 2 ordered pairs that you can pick from. It does not matter which point you want to pick. So it's really up to you. Do you want to use smaller numbers? Do you want to use fewer negatives? Do you always want to pick the first one? It doesn't make a difference. So I'll just pick the second one because there's only 1 negative in there. It really doesn't matter. So y equals mx plus b, you plug in what you know. Y that I chose was -4 equals my m that I found was -1/3. My x is 6 because that's the other part of that point, and I don't know b. That's what I'm looking for. So I solve for b. So -1/3 times 6 is -2. To move the -2, I add it, and -4 plus 2 is -2. So there's the b, and then I actually have to write my equation. Y equals. My m was -1/3, goes with your x, and my b was -2, so -2. That's it. All right. When we're done, we need y equals mx plus b with a number for m and a number for b. Shocking. All right. They gave us 2 ordered pairs, so neither of the things I need. So I label them x1, y1, x2, y2. I have to find the slope by subtracting. The y is on top and the x is on the bottom. So y2 is -8 minus y1 of -4 over x2, which was -2, minus x1, which was -3. -8 minus -4 is a -4 because it's like adding. And -2 minus -3 is 1. So our slope is -4 over 1. For the purposes of plugging it into an equation, it's probably easier to just use the whole number. It doesn't make a difference, but it's probably easier to write it out if it's just -4. Okay, and then it doesn't matter which point you pick. These both have 2 negatives, so this time I'll just pick the first one. Okay. So y, the y equals mx plus b, plug in what you know. So the y that I chose to use is -4. The m we found was also -4. The x that goes with that point is -3. And then we're adding b. So -4 equals -4 times -3 is 12. Add the b, subtract the 12 over, and that gives you -16. Now you have your m and you have your b, which is what you need. So y equals -4x minus 16. Done. All right, we are going to do this one because you'll see. Two ordered pairs, label them x1, y1, x2, y2. M equals 5 minus 5 over 4 minus 7, which is 0 over -3. All right. When you are trying to write the equation and you find your slope, if you get a 0 on either place in your slope, you need to stop. We got a 0 on the top of my slope. Okay? So we're stopping because this is not going to be a normal equation. If there's a 0 either on the top or the bottom of the slope, your equation isn't going to look like y equals mx plus b because it's either a horizontal line or a vertical line. And remember, the horizontal and the vertical lines only each have one variable. They either only have an x or they only have a y. So it's not going to fit your normal equation. So you get the 0, so you stop. You got a 0 because something had to have matched. You subtracted two numbers that were exactly the same. So you go back and you look. What matched? Well, my y's were both 5. So since those are the numbers that matched and they were y's, then y is the only variable in my equation. So I do y equals, and then it's just equals 5 because that's the number they were. Again, you get a 0 in your slope, you stop because something matched. You go back up and you figure out what variable matched, x or y, and you write that variable equals the number that it was. So our y's matched and our y's were 5, so my equation is y equals 5, and that would just be a vertical or a horizontal line at 5. Okay? Okay, this one, x1, y1, x2, y2, m is 8 minus 5 over 3 minus 3. 8 minus 5 is 3. 3 minus 3 is 0. I get a 0, so I stop. I got a 0 because something matched. So I go back up and I say, okay, well, these 3's were the same. And they were x's. So this time my equation is x equals, and they were both 3. And that's it. You get a 0, stop, look what matched, what variable, and what number. That's it. Okay, you can do this one on your own. And don't worry about doing this one, it's okay. Don't do it. And then you're going to do 5, 8.